We are live, I think. It says live on my thing anyway. Welcome to episode 4 of Council of War. We have, very excitingly, ooh, look at the book. Ooh. Clash of Kings 21 changes and Halpi's Rift stuff. So we have a book, we have beer, we have a Tom and an Adam. So we're going to give him.
I have tea.
Adam has tea because he had too many beers last week, and we got comments about him interrupting people. So we've put him on tea and cornetos to keep him in check. So yeah, so we are going to be going through the changes from Clash of Kings 2021. We're basically going to go through all of the heroes in turn, give our impressions, give feelings of how we think they might be used and what we're excited about with them, and then go over the changes to some of the rules and the unit changes, effectively. We've got a few questions already submitted, but if anyone has questions as we go along, do feel free to type them in, and we can see them as we go. But before we start, Adam, I think you've got a plug to do. So plug away.
Yes, it's just a little plug out for a call to arms worldwide, which is the world's largest Kings of War event, which we are, well, I'm running with the help of Elliot, Tom Annis and Dan Miner. Sign-ups are live as of yesterday. But if you want to go over to the Universal Battle 2 Kings of War page, get signed up and we'll just make it bigger than ever. That was it, basically.
I think, 142 is the record to beat?
Yeah, 142 players last year. Well, not last year, at the start of the year. Just after Christmas, wasn't it? Just after January, I want to say. Can't remember.
Just with the launch of 3rd edition.
Yeah, launch of 3rd edition. Went well. Went very well.
Oh, we
Who won?
It did go quite well, didn't it?
Yeah, it went well for Brits.
I can't remember. Was it Tom Annis?
Look at his smug face at the bottom there.
It definitely won. It definitely won Tom Annis, mate. He were holding nearly everyone else up.
I remember distinctly that he got tabled by a silly gimmick list.
He did get tabled by a gimmick list. You were only running melee for cavalry.
Gimmick list either. I've just, it's given and taken away from him. Actually, no, I just took away from him each time. I've ruined everything. And I will not stop.
I'd actually the Brits did well, but I think didn't we come like second to bottom? It was Tom that held us up.
No, we had first.
I'm Paul. Yeah, to be fair, yeah.
Yeah, we had first, second, didn't we? Or first, third, something
like
that.
Second. Yeah. Paul won all of his games as well, but Tom won them better. So, diving in. We're not going to do a hobby update this week because, quite frankly, no one really cares, and we have a lot of stuff to get through.
We haven't done anything.
I've painted, for some weird reason, I can't think why, I've painted 4 regiments of Blade Dancers. Who can possibly think why I was doing that? With prior knowledge. So we are starting with the Clash of Kings 2021 official changes to the rules. Woo. Right at the very beginning, special rules section. Ignore cover. Now, I have to say in advance I'm a little bit biased about this one because I wrote this change. So, what do you two think about the changes to ignore cover? How good are they?
I think this is a good rule because this is something that Ian Sturgis actually said to me right at the start of 3rd edition, where cover and concealment basically give you 2 separate things. So if you're in the terrain, you're not fully ignored. So basically, the changes for anyone who hasn't seen it is if you're at least 50% in terrain, so in a wood, you're still getting cover against your war machines and your cannons and the like.
Yeah,
the units with no cover. It's like being concealed rather than being in cover. I think it's a brilliant change. I think it's an obvious change as well.
It made sense to me because the ignore cover rule tends to come with indirect or when you actually read the flavour behind the ignore cover rule, it says that it fires up in the air and then down again. So if you're within terrain, trees, you're still going to be harder to hit. But if things are in the way of you, then it goes over. I just like it because it takes away some of that. You can't do anything about ignoring war engines. Whereas now you can do something. You can give yourself cover, but you are going to slow yourself down by being in terrain.
as someone who's ran a lot of War Machines in past,
have you?
it's just gonna limit the targets. Basically, it's gonna make you have to think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a massive hindrance to War Machine lists, but it is something that's got to be considered about. It's, to be honest with you, it's a buff to Pathfinder. Is what it is.
Mm. It is, but what I like about it is that, as you say, that there's only going to be so many pieces of area terrain, difficult terrain on the board. So you're not going to hide your whole army inside it. So you have to pick and choose what you hide. But you're right. It doesn't. I don't think this does away with indirect war engines, because that was never the intention. The problem with war engines in second edition was the ones that didn't have ignore cover were effectively useless. So there's never a desire to get rid of war engines from the game. It's just that
I do think a lot of the changes,
too far.
Yeah, I do think a lot of the changes add up to negative for War Machines, but when you start adding them all together, but we'll get to them as we go to them.
Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, Tom, any view on?
Nah, you've
cover in general.
It makes sense, doesn't it? Your cannons and your rock robbers and such. If they're throwing giant hunks of stone into trees, which are also giant hunks of trees, quite often the trees will either knock it out of the way or they'll absorb the hit or whatever. So it makes a lot more thematic sense than the trees doing bugger all. Rubbish reason. You're
also generally harder to spot if you're in a forest. It's harder for the crewmen to gauge where you are and gain rage, and you're not going to be as in tighter formation.
Yeah, that too.
So,
yeah. I like it. It's thematic.
Yeah. So that's the only special rule change from Clash. I think it's the one that people weren't particularly surprised about. There was a lot of call to do something about war engines, and I like one that sort of captures all of them in one go, rather than having to individually adjust every war engine. So spells.
It gives you a tactical option to deal with it. So you're given the opportunity to be smart about it. And I like that, rather than just here. This is just a flat thing that applies to everybody, and who cares? Something that makes you do something with the rule is more useful, and more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Dynamic is the word.
Yeah. Kinetic thinking. I like it.
Yeah. God, he's been in a proper desk job for a week, and he's already spouting out the buzzwords. So
just to keep you in the loop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to keep us in the loop with something. I didn't realise you had a new buzzword. I was waiting for the follow up.
It's because you're used to all that bullshit day in, day out.
So I work for the council. This is what we get. Shite. New spells. Well, not new spells. Changes to spells. I think it's quite clear that certain spells are better than others, or seem to have emerged as better than others.
Really?
Yeah, really. There was a few being seen more than others. The sort of adjustments, I really like all of these. I think they're our flavour, but we'll go through one at a time. So, change to Hex. I don't know if someone wants to summarise what's happened with Hex.
I'll do that. So, if you target a unit, if you cast Hex on a target, that unit can no longer cast spells unless it issues a halt or change facing order. That's a really good change, in my opinion.
In addition to the usual effect of Hex as well.
Yeah. In addition to the usual effects, sorry, should I say? So you take damage. To be fair, I think this new effect's actually better than the original effect.
I agree. No, it is, yeah.
Because, especially with a couple of changes you'll see further down in Empire of Dust, where you can actually target certain things that are a pain in the arse now with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Fucking sauce now. But yeah, I think it was Tom Annis put in the comments about a Hex, saying that before that it only ever worked if it was done in tandem with a lightning bolt caster or something that could actually put damage on the thing that was taking damage from Hex. And that was the issue with it before, is that you'd get Hexed and you wouldn't really care. You'd roll your spell anyway, you take all the damage, and if you died, well, so what? Whereas now I can really see Hex being in almost every list as a really useful option.
Yeah, I remember having one of my wizards up to like 20 damage because of Hex, just because I didn't care. If there were nothing that were going to tap it.
If you can't tap it, then who cares?
Yeah, exactly. It was almost pointless in that regard. And if you could tap it, well, then why are you casting Lightning Bolt at the caster rather than hexing it? Because you weren't stopping anything, whereas a Lightning Bolt might stop it.
Yeah.
Whereas this now, well, actually, I hate it already because I've played 2 playtesting games using this, and both times it's almost lost me the game. So I hate it already now. It's stupid, but it's good. It's really, really powerful casting a Surge caster. So if you can hex Surge casters now, it massively limits the flexibility of those kind of lists. And it wrecks Drain Life.
Yeah, and for your key casters as well, if they have to get out of the way, because they can't cast their spell if the unit wants to move through them and land on where they were. If they need to get out of the way, then they can't cast.
Yeah.
It's when you see the little positions where you think, if he wants to get there, he can't do it now. If I have to take away his Bane and I have to take away his heal, and that can be the difference between winning or losing a combat.
I actually think the 25-point hex item is going to be taking a hell of a lot more now.
15 points, I think, isn't it?
You're just talking Inspiring or Bane chance. So.
It's cheap anyway, and it's not expensive.
No, I think it's really useful. I think you'll see a lot more of the... Yeah, it's 15 points. I think you'll see it on your cheap combat characters. So the things that are mounted on like Pegasus, stuff like that, that can see over units. So as it's flying in, as it's getting in position, casting Hex out on things just to be a pain, I think will be really useful.
BSBs.
BSBs are fine, but they tend to be height too, so they can't often spot the wizards. But whereas if you can get it on, things like your general on-wing beast, stuff like that doesn't usually, they're not worth a big point investment for combat items. But 15 points to be able to cast Hex every turn while it's getting into position to be a pain, because it's got a really long range and it's got the height of a monster, it can reach out and tap things.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And then Enthrall, but you were all so shocked to see this change.
Woo!
Should have been like this from the go.
Yeah.
I thought it was like this from the go.
This means that you're used to having 2 or 3 Enthrall casters rather than having one and then maybe using it once or twice. Like having 2 or 3 and you can all use it. Because if you want to use this on something, you want to use it on one target and do something big to it. Yeah. You're not really looking for a little bit of move. You want to pull something out the line, don't you? So, yeah.
Especially the units that have got baits in Enthrall. So like the Dam Busters and the Leviathan's Bane. That was a bit silly where you had these special abilities that you couldn't then use on stuff.
Yeah.
It's a nice change. I like it. I think it's I don't see a problem with it. Windblast works fine. There's going to be some interesting builds now around multiple Enthrall casters and then Surge for Trident Realms. I can really see more of a build around pulling a unit close and then surging in the flank with Water Elementals.
Undead as well, because they can actually get to some good numbers of Enthrall, and obviously they get Surge. Who gets it? For free.
I know Ilona gets it. Does anybody else get it?
No. So what you do is you take Ilona and a Banshee, ally.
Ally and a Banshee.
You ally in a Banshee, and then you get in a damage in Enthrall. So I think it's Enthrall 7 or something on Ilona and 5 on the Banshee. So you end up with a very good. I'm going to pull you forward 6 inches where I've set up this Surge flank. I think that's going to be very good if you can pull it off. I can see Tom. Look at him. He's thinking. I can see him pissing around with something like that just for a gimmick.
I admire your thinking. I think you're wrong.
I think I'm wrong. I just think it's gimmick.
There's a lot of investment in that.
That's a good idea.
Oh no! I mean, you are investing.
Alone is a lightning bolt. It's like, she's got lightning bolt. She's going to use it. Probably should be hitting things.
I just think it'll be funny investing 600 points into that one gimmick combo.
It's there. It's an option. We like options.
Yeah,
but it's not a good option.
No.
But I think in general the change to Enthrall is positive.
As I say, it should have been there from go.
Yeah,
should have been there.
I am really looking forward to sort of see what comes out with this, because Windblast is a very underappreciated spell. It's hugely powerful, and I think Enthrall, there's actually quite a lot of Enthrall casters out there that have just kind of been ignored because the limitation on them was so great it wasn't worth it. So these will be interesting now to see what they can do with.
Yeah.
You might see it a slightly bit more than nothing.
Yeah, well, that's great.
You might see one caster.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Right,
We'll see. I'm interested to see what Dambusters can do. With lots of this now.
Still nothing.
But at least, well, but yeah, probably nothing.
No, still nothing.
Yeah, they're there at least. And then I keep calling it Mind Prod because during playtesting it was called Mind Prod.
Yeah, I keep calling it Mind Prod.
And I think, so I call it Mind Prod, and I think of worms every time I do. But yeah. So yeah, change to Mind Fog. It gained the Shattering modifier.
One sec, Elliot. We never actually pointed out what the change to Enthrall was. We just said that it should have been.
Oh yeah, we did. Yes, sorry. The change to Enthrall it can be cast multiple times. So the limitation that you can only cast it once has now been removed. So you can cast it multiple times, just like Windblast. And so yeah, it's now exactly opposite Windblast.
Yeah.
As probably it should always have been, but yeah. Well, I'm assuming you've all got the book by now, clearly, because I do. So why does no one else? Yeah. Sorry.
Anyway,
so yes, Mind Fog. What do we think of new Mind Fog? So yeah, Mind Fog now has a Shattering modifier, which is effectively brutal for shooting. So it means that if you just hit something with Mind Fog, it's taking a nerve check at -1, or you can sort of tap it on top of units that have already taken damage, which I like actually as a guaranteed reach out. You've taken 4 or 5 points of damage from other shooting, and also here's another -1 for you. That doesn't need to roll to damage. I think it's quite interesting.
Quite often the issue with Mind Fog is that why would you take that when you could just have another lightning bolt caster and you're doing a damage when you do it? Whereas now, because that lightning bolt caster is probably going to do 1 damage if it's 3 or 4 lightning bolt to do the equivalent amount, Mind Fog will do the same for far cheaper. So
yeah,
the reason
it just doesn't hang around here.
Yeah, Mind Fog now is effectively lightning bolt 4, effectively, but Mind Fog.
But the damage doesn't stick.
Yeah, damage doesn't stick, but. Mind Fog's really good for things like picking off the low nerve war machines, like Goblin war machines.
Yeah.
Oh god, they're going to just disappear to this. It won't surprise me if you kill 1 or 2 a turn just from
Gargoyles.
Mind Fog. Gargoyles, characters, low nerve characters. It's actually a threat now, and you've got things like in Night Stalkers with the perimeter the ambition, the healing one that's got Mind Pod as well. So when you've got your lightning bolt 24, and then you can start putting shattering onto units as well for pretty much free.
Just that one extra screw you.
Yeah, because one of the lightning bolts out of range, and you can throw a Mind Fogger instead. He's still contributing.
Well, no, the healing monster can get it. You see, the healing monster can get it. So obviously, turn 1 and. Yeah, turn 1 and 2, you don't need that, so it just contributes for that free damage in places.
Yeah. I like it with a combination of new hex as well. More lethal hex, and then if you do choose to take the damage, having a Mind Fog around for an additional -1 just to ping you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, Shattering doesn't stack with Dread. Same as Brutal doesn't stack with Dread. So it's one or the other. So you can't do the Night Stalker trick of landing a Dreadcaster there and then -1ing it.
The Goblin one stacks though, the Lizard.
Oh, but that Kuzo and Madfall, yeah, that does. That does, because Alza reduces everything else around him.
Yeah.
Friendly and enemy, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
And then I've put this in here, even though there hasn't been a change to the rule. So Drain Life, the infamous Drain Life. So I'm going to give a bit of behind the curtain rules committee woo here. We looked at about 4 or 5 different ways of fixing Drain Life. We got a lot of feedback. We saw it ourselves. Tom did it because he's Tom. Of the amount of Drain Life you could put out, and in combination with certain builds and certain armies, it was just a really negative play experience. Most armies that get access to Drain Life also get access to high defense, high nerve, fearless units. And that is a really unpleasant combination. Yeah, you were reaching the stage where units were becoming far more resilient than they were ever designed to be, We looked at lots of different things we could do about it. We looked at, do we have it take cover modifiers? Do we strip off piercing? Do we have -1 for engaged units? Yada, yada, yada. And everything we looked at, we sort of came back to the thing of, well, this negatively impacts on armies that aren't necessarily being able to abuse it in the same way. And actually, the crux of the issue wasn't Drain Life as a spell. It was there was too many, casters that could get too much Drain Life and just do too reliable with it. And there wasn't much counter to it. So rather than actually nerf Drain Life as a spell, we looked at what was around it instead. So things like new Hex, very much in line with Drain Life being there. When you've got a 6-inch range and you can't move, that becomes a real problem for you. And we've reduced the amount of Drain Life that anyone can take. So no non-living legends can now get above Drain Life 6.
Orcs can.
Orcs can through a special rule, yeah, but not as standard. So what do you two think of Drain Life as it stands now then? Do you think we got it right? Are we wrong?
I don't think it changes much because it got cheaper as well.
It did, but the issue wasn't the cost of it; it was how much you had access to.
Yeah, I don't think it changes too much because like Tom's list only loses 2 Drain Life.
Did Morgoth lose one as well?
No,
Morgoth's down to Drain Life
on this
7.
change. Not on this change.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I think it all just adds up a little bit, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's fine, but I don't think it's enough change.
I think the problem with that list was that everything was far too good for its points, and we've addressed the issue of things being too good for the points. The undead issue is being looked at because they were all far too good for the points. So this is another part of the whole list taking a bit of the edges off here and there. So yeah, I'm happy with that because if with undead, because everything's so bloody good all the time, you can just pivot to a different unit.
Correct.
And run a similar kind of list.
And we have to remember as well that it wasn't just undead that have Drain Life. So it's the core spell of Twilightkin. So if you mess with Drain Life, then you're messing with what Twilightkin have. It's one of the core spells of Ogre Warlocks. So when you mess with those, they mess with that ability. And a lot of the things that we were looking at were impacting the large infantry nimble casters a lot more than flying individuals. So we weren't hitting the right thing. So I like the balance we came to.
I think it's a good change. I just don't think it's gonna. I think you'll just still see it. I think you'll still see it. It just won't be as.
But that's good. I didn't want to. We didn't want to remove it from the game.
Yeah, but it's only good in certain builds.
Yeah,
but
I think
really good
I think the builds that it was really good in are still perfectly viable. So I don't think it was done enough because it wasn't actually it was the mobility issue that a lot had. So it was like Morgoth going double. It was like giving one a cloak and giving one boots. It was that pushed it over the edge.
But that's what Hex is for as well now. You Hex the one with the boots and it's like, well, okay, it stood there. It stood there and it's either going to get charged or it has to bugger off and not cast Drain Life that turn. And then it's a very expensive caster doing nothing. It's risk and reward now rather than before it was maybe a little too easy. Morgoth was definitely too easy. Just did the thing.
What, undead were too easy, did you say?
No, Morgoth. Morgoth was too easy.
Sorry, I just read between the lines.
So the 4 changes to spells there in general, what do we think? Do we think that'll be enough to mix up the lightning bolt meta? As in, just take lightning bolt?
Well, no, because you've kind of no. I don't think so. I think lightning bolt's still lightning bolt.
No.
You're
still going to take lightning bolt. There's no reason to take fireball.
You've gone after war engines. You've gone after the edge spells like your Drain Life, but I think lightning bolt is eminently more abusable. You're not having to position to get the healing element of Drain Life, or get too close. The lightning bolt just does what it wants whenever it wants. I wouldn't have minded as a big proponent of using lightning bolt 18. Neither would this guy up here use lightning bolt 24. Neither of us would have really have minded stealthy getting its buff or something like that. But hey,
no. Don't think it'd be needed, but I wouldn't have minded it.
I think
Yeah.
we'll see we'll see if the meta shifts or not. See if the hex does it. See if all the other little things here and there add up to people taking less lightning bolt or more, but then you'll know for
Make fireball, ignore cover.
You don't have to whisper it. You
Done.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Before.
Yeah.
No, I like it. No, but it's all useful to hear.
It is definitely all improvement. There's no argument.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Next big theme of the changes, and not controversial, but we'll get on to the controversial bit. So, things being made regular. The first off, there was a big move in 3rd edition to a lot of units becoming irregular. Very much, I think, as a response to the meta as was at the end of 2nd edition. I think what's brilliant about the Clash of Kings packs is that it gives the Rules Committee the option to turn the dial back slowly. We can assess where things are, see how we're getting on, and then bring things back in. So quite a few units have been sort of returned to regular this time round. So starting with Chariots, what do we think of Chariots being made regular?
Yeah, I mean, it's Chariots and stuff like that. They're part of the whole 2nd edition. Certain people making abusive builds and using them as the horde unlock. So I like this one because Chariots were after they addressed the shooting issue with Chariots, where it was just a bit mad that they're getting the amount of shots that they did. I don't think they needed to make them irregular. I think they got a double, like a bit of a double or a triple whammy there. So I think
quadruple.
You might take a regiment or a hard or whatever.
Yeah.
For an unlock.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. I think it was a reaction to a meta that was, but as you said, other changes were put in place. Maybe didn't need irregular as well.
It'll be very nice to see Chariots on the table again, especially the Empire of Dust ones. I haven't seen a single Empire of Dust Chariot on the table.
Never saw them anyway.
Yeah, but
Quail used to run them quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're a big part of the identity of the army, aren't they? So it's nice to sort of see them back.
Oh no, I'm wrong. Sorry, he did have them. I shot them off turn 1. That's why I forgot about them.
Yeah, because you were using your elf shooting arm. So, more interesting one. Shooting units. So this is specifically more your Ranger style or your 18-inch range 4+, not horde options, effectively. Shooting units. So things that are back are like Glade Stalkers, Heart Piercers, Flame Bearers, Varangan Knight. Yeah, Hunters for Northern Alliance. Varangan Knight Hunt thingies, what are they called?
Night Raiders.
Night Raiders. What do we think? Shooting units back?
Yeah. No, this is probably my favourite part of the CoK21 update. I can throw all the other characters away. It's those kind of units where I've just seen the chat where John's swearing at me. Yeah, but those kind of units are really fun. You can't see me now.
That's not a bad thing, mate. That is not a bad thing.
I'll put you on board next time, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So stuff like your Northern Alliance pack hunters, they're a really cool unit, and I love the idea of having your front line being these fighty dudes running out with javelins, like your old barbarian style, which is what happened, and they were a mainline unit. So I like the idea that those guys being back and being relevant in an army like Northern Alliance, where you were stuck taking big hordes of crap, really. So now you have an option to take a normal regiment, which actually unlocks and isn't human clansmen who were crap for the points. The Varango one as well, they were really cool. Never seen them. It's one of the Varango units where you look at them, you go, that's a really cool unit. Why didn't you see it? It's a regular. There you go. You've got a reason to do it now because Varango like the characters. Same with Northern Alliance. Best stuff in the Northern Alliance list is the characters. They're the coolest bit. No pun intended. Abyssals with the Flame Bearers. I love Flame Bearers. I was the only person who used them as a regiment for unlocking stuff. It was never overpowered. It was always part of a cool, overall balanced mixed armless because you couldn't really run a proper gunline Abyssal list. And it was a nice thing to have, but as soon as they became irregular, you didn't see them because why would you bother? because the best things in the Abyssal list were the characters. And if you have to spend 155 points and not get a character, what's the point? Like, you've got so many cool fine individuals and stuff. So
I think for me that's the crux there. What you just said is that I don't think there's many units that have been here that could make a gun line from, because they're not hordes and they don't have the items that you used to have access to take you shooting over the edge. So at that point, why not allow them to be regular, to be in proper mixed arms lists?
Yeah.
Because I agree that piercing a gun line wasn't pleasant.
Rangers were always regular, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
But then Gladestalkers were irregular and they were worse in every single way.
Yeah.
The Rangers actually were one of the main sort of test beds that we looked at for. Is it safe to make these units regular again? And Rangers have been regular for a whole year now, and it hasn't been a problem. And they are arguably the best, if not one of the best, of this archetype of unit because they're combat and shooting. So
yeah. There's 14 units on this irregular list that have been made regular. I would pretty much guarantee you haven't seen any of these this edition, really, which is perfect, which is going to be really good for the game.
Yeah, not at the level where they would be unlocking, no. I'll take a flame bearer troop every so often, but you won't take a regiment.
No, it's removing as much irregular from the game as possible is a positive thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Drakons as well. That's another important thing.
Hang on. We're getting there.
Oh, sorry.
So, flying hammers, Drakons. What do you think?
Yay!
So your low high, your Drakons.
Elves have got 2 more unlocks. That's like double what we had before.
Yeah, actually makes elves interesting-ish.
So, first question: Skulks don't unlock. Skull-Raider Chariots do unlock. Yeah. So you could, in theory, have an Orc gun line army if that's what you so desired in Skull-Raider Chariots. So what do you think about your Drakons, your low high becoming regular again?
Good, because it actually the armies were elves were just boring. The start of this edition, version 3, boring because they were shoehorned into the first 1,200 points. Palace Guard, yeah, or Spears, or this. It was boring, but now you've got Drakons, you can actually start building some interesting lists. You can even put Chariots in there if you want. It's the best. It is only a positive for elves because you can actually look at them again and don't feel sad for playing them.
Run a varied cavalry army. You can have Chariots and you can have cavalry and have flying heavy cavalry and then characters, and it makes a cohesive army rather than be stuck taking 4 or 5 regiments of Stormwind. Who the hell's going to do that?
Elves actually got Elves got 3 new unlocking options, Tom, not 2. Gladestalker's Chariot.
They're up to 5 unlocking units, probably. I ain't counting.
A whole 5? 6?
Slightly more, but not much more. Yeah. I think for me the units were the same as shooting. They were addressed by losing Nimble. They're not as strong as they were, so why not be regular? Was kind of the view for me. Plus, Drakons and Aloha are such iconic units for those armies they're in.
The good thing as well, only a couple of things to point out: Aloha can still no longer be allied.
Mm-hmm.
They've put a rule in, so you can't ally them in. But you dwarf players who were moaning about your gyrocopters, you can now use them as Drakon regiments to keep you all happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoilers, you're not getting gyrocopters. It's never happening. Stop asking. And then I had to include it because I have to have it in here. What do we think of Wraiths?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of Wraiths losing, becoming irregular?
Yeah, I'm really happy about this.
Good.
I'll tell you why for 2 very good reasons. 2 of them are one's very thematic as well. So the first reason, not thematic one, is that the problem with them is that when Reverend Cav got affected as it did, I looked at the anime and went, all right, cool, people just take Wraiths instead. So you haven't solved the problem. It's the undead problem that everything's so good. If you take one unit out, it doesn't matter because there's another unit which you can just put right in the way. It was just as good. So who cares? at least now you've got to actually think about it. You can't have your stupid fast shambling unit, which is super hard to kill. Like you'll have to maybe take mummies, which are too slow. You've got to make a trade-off somewhere now with undead rather than just it doesn't matter. I'll just take the next best thing. They're all ridiculously good anyway. So sorry, Oh, second reason. If you're gonna have the backbone of your army should have bones.
That is a fantastic reason. I like it, but don't tell the water elementals. The backbone of my nature list is water elementals.
Tom, you haven't seen my army, have you? It's all ghosts.
Yeah. Now you feel stupid, don't you?
No, not at all. I honestly don't care about this change in the slightest. Like,
no, it's undead. Undead have the most unlocking units. They're the least irregular. They've got everything going for them. They've had one slight thing taken off them in this case from Irregular. Oh well. Right.
Every single thing in undead is too good. You can literally you could spam Revcav, you could spam Wraiths. Choose another unit and spam it. You'll win events. Simple. Stop complaining. You've got the strongest army in the game. Deal with it.
Yeah, you're probably still the strongest army in the game easily. So
yeah, leaps and bounds. Just pick an army, pick a unit, run as much as you can, and deal with it.
Spin the old undead roulette wheel of army building.
just cut out the pages, cut the unit entries out, stick them on your wall, and throw some darts at the wall, and that'll be a strong list.
Yeah, it will be.
Well, there you go. That went better than I was hoping. I don't have to duck.
Yeah.
So, unit changes. I've not written every unit change down here. So, in terms of all of the unit changes, we're going to go through and say anything that jumps out at you. I am starting, because this is my favourite change in the whole book. The Dwarf Engineer, Warsmith, is now awesome. He has gone from being, why would you ever take him, because you might as well just take another war engine, to being absolutely awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He just affects so much of the list now. It's
half the list. It's literally half the list.
Yeah. He's not silly. He's not stupid. So his rule has been changed now that his aura, elite, and inspiring affects the Warsmith and Iron Watch keywords, which when you start flicking through your book, you'll realise is Steel Behemoth, crossbows, rifles, sharpshooters, the Steel Juggernaut model. Yeah, lots of things. Elite ranged isn't massive. It's not going to tip anything over the edge to being over the top and silly and broken. But for his point level now, he's just good. He's exactly what he needs to be. Whereas I think before he probably wasn't. And I just think it's a brand new unit from that change. And thematic, and dwarves now have better shooting than elves.
Poor elves. Yes. There's two things that jump out at me. There's changes that stand out.
Mm-hmm.
Soul Snare becoming Spellcaster 1, because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
And the undead flying worm going down in nerve and up in points, because fuck that guy.
Yeah. Also, Revenant Cav. I bloody told you.
Oh yeah, Revenant Cav.
Told you. I like every single addition you can point at something that got nerfed and go, Tom did that.
Me or you. Fucking hell. I got all shooting.
I think you'll find it was me that originally wrote the RevCav list, and then I just said, well, I'm never going to run it.
Yeah.
It was my fault. I was sat on a train coming back from London. I was trying to write Kingdoms of Men Night Horde list and went, you know what's really annoying? I could do the exact same list for 80 points cheaper if I just ran them as undead.
Yeah, and better.
Jokes aside, though, I think my favourite change is actually the Salamander Gekaton Hunters gaining steady aim for both weapons, not just the one. I think that's a very good
That was
change.
an interesting one, because that was Gekaton Hunters are actually perfectly fairly costed when you look at the points.
Yeah,
they're a prime example of almost rules bloat, where they have rules that don't necessarily interact well on the tabletop. So on paper they're perfect, but you're not using the Pathfinder if you're using the shooting. You're not, using the Speed 7 if you're using your bows. So I like that change a lot. I think it's a nice addition.
I agree.
You don't get to contribute unless you want to contribute. It's all right. Moving on. Any other things that jump out at you?
No, my main thing was undead needed looking at, and there have been. I think Abyssal Dwarves as well. Those mortars were just all right. Cool, this is just going to happen to you. Have fun with it. So now at least if you got a defense 5 or defense 6 unit, it's not going to get picked up by a lucky roll. Like you've got another little thing that says, all right, he's going to roll a 1. He gets to re-roll it. I'll call it a 2. Like, it's not so reliable anymore. And as well, you get to play around with with actual using cover, just to add up to something of a countermeasure rather than it's just roll dice. What can you do about it? Like, there's some thought and some skill, and list design that can help mitigate it somewhat.
I mean, do you still think the mortar is good? You don't think it's gone too far?
I think we should have just removed. What's it called? Vicious, to be honest with you.
But then that doesn't fit with the theme of any other Abyssal Dwarf unit.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
I think the thing with it's supposed to be a mortar, isn't it? So it's not like a rock over which is direct physical impact. It's exploding.
I suppose.
There's fire, there's crap coming off of it. It's not actually the impact that's doing the damage. It's all the shrapnel.
Yeah.
It's all the,
which is why I have blast.
And that's a bit more conveyed in that the blast is higher than normal ones. And
yeah.
So, it makes a bit more sense. It's just the best rock orb in the game. There you go.
I think it's in a really nice place now. So with the dwarf cannon, because the dwarf cannon has less blast but more piercing, and then the mortar has more piercing, less blast. No, more blast, less piercing. So it's a nice midway point between the two of them.
I like it. I like it the fact it's piercing 2 now, so you can have dragons and Julius and shit hiding in woods for the -1 to hit and being unlikely to be damaged as well from the piercing 2 as much. I think it's you got a lot of counterplay, stealth buff to monsters and Pathfinder stuff, as I've said.
Yeah. No. Okay. What do you think about the changes to Fearless? There's a few things that have lost Fearless and gained Fury Headstrong instead.
I like it a lot because the main ones that people are going to notice is Depth Horrors and Butchers have both got an actual normal nerve value and they've gained Fury. Which for both of them, it affects Depth Horrors a bit more because they're a lot more vulnerable. Shooting Wavering then was the big issue. However, Depth Horrors were a problem in Trident runs for the internal bounce because they were far better than everything else. You can make a really legitimate top tier build out of Depth, of just having lots of Depth Horrors, which it doesn't really make much sense.
Just all of the Depth Horrors.
Yeah.
It's it's a good change.
Easy. Yeah.
And
frankly, there's so much Fearless across all the armies.
Yeah. I said that during playtesting. There was way too much Fearless in the game. Way too much. Because it was just being given to everything just for the sake of it at one point. And it's like, stop giving Fearless to shit. Just stop it. It's not fixing anything.
Stop doing the thing.
Yeah.
No, brilliant. Any other things to mention on these? Like I say, I'm not going to read everyone else, but we have touched on most of them now.
There's what else stand out?
Dragon's another Fearless one. The Basilean Dragon went from -19 to 17-19 with Headstrong.
Which is fine.
And I like that
because it brings it in line with the on foot version.
One thing I am going to say, there's one other point, because screw you, RC. I was the only person running Reaper Soul Drinkers, the only person in the world.
And we told the whole world, we told the internet that everyone else should run them because they were clearly undercosted. You sat there, in fact, on this video screen and said, these are undercosted.
Go 2 episodes back. Screw you guys. No, it's perfectly fine. That's what they should be. I'm not complaining. I just felt like having a dig.
That was an actual error, was it?
I didn't care enough. I think they were too cheap. But hey, I'd like to see Wingits get hit more because they shouldn't be 13-15. They should be 10-12 to take 3 nerve off them.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, Tom. They are.
There's 2 goblins in a bloody bucket. Like, why are they 13-15?
100%.
2 goblins in a bucket.
100%. The Wingit should have been hit way more, and I don't. People might think Tom's overreacting for -3 nerve, but it's actually justified for how good that thing is.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be good. Why is its nerve good? Why is its nerve good, Elliot? Why did you let this happen?
A wizard did it.
Yeah, Yeah. Oh, and
So-
also Tree Father, like Wilt Daddy, Fireboy. Angry,
Yep.
angry,
No idea what you're on about.
Emo tree herb.
Everybody gets him now, and I don't really like that. I think it's being brought up in the comment section, but I like Sylvan King having that and not everybody else.
But what I do like is everyone has a unique way of using him. So the Sylvan Kin get the boss Wraiths, and that's buffed a lot better now with all his use of it. The Force of Nature get the Phalanx Aura. That's a unique way of using him. You know, so there is different unique ways in each list. It isn't just an obvious, if you want the Verdant Tree list, you go to this one or this one now.
One unit you did mention there, Boss Wraiths. They've now gained Pathfinder, so they've gone from completely shit to just shit.
They've also, the aura on Wiltshire has changed to Vicious, so they now, and they're Verdant as well, so they get Elite and Vicious and Pathfinder. That's pretty good,
They
actually.
don't have Scout, so Wilt Daddy runs off, and then the boss race are there going, "All right, guys."
He doesn't need to run.
They are so bad, sorry.
It's not as bad as the Arch Race, though. Look at that goddamn thing. Is that 80 points in its defense 3? No crushing. What does it do? What does it do?
It's
What's
a
the
cool
point of that?
name. It's a cool sounding unit.
It is a cool name.
Right,
I've never
anyway.
seen one on table, though.
On to the heroes of Halpi's Rift. So, not only do we, in this awesome book, do we get the Clash of Kings changes, we get new heroes. Is it 12 new heroes? I should know it's more than that.
These guys are tournament legal, but just to point out
Yes.
for anyone who wasn't aware.
Yeah. So what we're not going through at the minute is the actual campaign side of Halpi's Rift, which really is awesome,
No.
actually. And I would encourage you to have a read through it. But this is the stuff that affects sort of the tournament legal and
Tournament
all
play.
general. So what we're going to do is we are going to very briefly go through each of these. Obviously, we're not going to read out every stat and everything that they do, but we're going to sort of give a view on how we feel it might affect the army, whether we'd use it or not, how we'd use it, anything that jumps out at us. So, Adam, I don't know if you want to start with Tollivar. You going for you?
Yeah, Tollivar the Seer from Basileans. I think it's fine. It's just a spellcasting wizard on foot. It's got 3 spells: Enchant 3, Bastion, Fireball. It has additional range on its spells on Enchant and Bastion when it's casting against angelic units, so low high.
Julius. Don't
And
forget Julius.
Well, it's a low high unit, let's be honest. So
No, Bastion on Julius.
So when
Plus
you
one nerf.
cast Bastion on someone, you get +1 nerf for stuff. Is it just that unit or stuff with a 6-inch?
No,
How it works?
It's +1 nerve, and then it gets Rally 1 as well.
Yeah, but after you successfully cast Bastion, you can cast another spell. So you can put Bastion, Enchant, Bastion, Fireball. I think it's good. I just think 150 points is expensive. I don't think he'll fit 8 in the list.
Yeah, I like him. I think it's again
He's
pretty
inspiring,
inspiring. So it's one of the ones where if you're bringing him in instead of your normal and like standard bearer, you can do the standard bearer and the wizard's job for the same price, but he does them better.
Yeah.
He got
he is inspiring. Yeah, he is inspiring.
But again, part of the issue is he works really well with the idea of your Paladin defender line, your 3 regiments of infantry moving forward, where he can walk with them because he's infantry, and then he's got the Ensenyshra reach out and touch the angelic unit, and that's some form of Catholic Church reference about paedophilia. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah, no, I like him. I think it's only going to work in very specific builds.
Yeah.
That's fair. But I think he's a good character. I think he's he's as you say, he's that sort of midway point between a priest with heal and bane chant, or a standard bearer. You know, he's up there, and he would actually work really well once, as you say, with even with Ogre Palace Guard, because 16-18 Ogre Palace Guard, when you give them Bastion, there's nothing to moan about, is it?
Bane Chant 3 as well.
Yeah.
Bane Chant 3 is because Bane Chant 2 is 75% of the time. Well, you're not going to get it once in a game, and how often do you really need that Bane Chant? You don't get it. Bane Chant 3 it's a massive percentage.
Massive. Yeah. Massive.
And I say again, Julius, because so often Julius just dies.
Yeah.
Fearless 16 is just. Fearless 17 amazing. Really, 16, not so much.
Yeah. The issue,
So, yeah.
part of the issue for that list is that he's competing with the rest of the Basilean characters who are all awesome.
That's the
his
problem.
issue. He's going to work in very particular builds.
Hello, high and now regular, so more unlocks.
But more expensive unlocks than because it's got to be hard on it because monsters regiments still do fuck all.
Yeah.
Apart from being inspiring awesome little units,
Yeah.
So, Tom, do you want to take us through Nimue?
I was sat for ages trying to work out how to pronounce that name. I'm not going to lie.
I believe it's Nimue. We have to say it like that.
Nimue. Let's go.
Yes,
right.
It's more than you want it to.
So Nimue's pretty much a normal elf mage, but with a bit more nerve. But on top of that, it's got some really cool little rules. So it inspires. That's great. He's got a wizard inspired. You save points already. It's got Cloak of Death.
Only Verdant, though. Just to point out.
Got it, yeah, only Verdant. Got Cloak of Death, which is awesome. It's really good. Really good rule. I really love Cloak of Death. And then he's got, for spells wise, you've got Fireball 10, Heal 4, Surge 4, and then Wind Blast 5. Just all the spells in the world. For 150 points, I think 2 of those spells are pretty much free.
Yeah.
They haven't been added on its cost. So you've got a good discount on the utility of the spells you've got there. But the most interesting and cool thing is that he gets to do what Magneil does. And it's got the ability to fly 20 inch and cast. So he gets a 1 use only, fly, and then boots levitation. And I love this because it's a Cloak of Death character, so you can put it right in the backlines and go, here you go, and they get to cast anyway. I've got Fireball 10. Yeah.
Can you imagine you do that to ogres with no individuals? And just, here you are now. And then I've got Wind Blast 5, so I can shove one of your units out of the line from behind.
Yeah.
Into
My favourite is when they're going to miss it. My favourite is when they don't see it and they've moved up next to something passable, not quite far to get past it, and you go all the way up to the side and just wind blast them behind the cover, and now they can't march. You're like, you're stuck there, aren't you? Can you think about it? 150 points if you get to that once, it's just amazing. Because that unit's stuck there for 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah.
I think
an individual with speed 6 and wind blast is 150 points. I think it's a really nice point level, that, for what it does.
I think it's all right. I think this sounds really weird, but in a good player's hands, it'll be a really good unit. But it could quite easily just be a suicidal mage if you don't play it right, because like all my lists have got anti-character hunting stuff. So if that's coming up close to me, it's dead. Simple.
But the moral of the story is play it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's
struggling for unlocks in Elves.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
You still are.
They're everywhere now.
It's a bit better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like
would I ever use them? I don't.
No.
Probably not. But I like the idea of her, and I think once every so often or in a casual game should be really fun to use. Or he. I don't know. It's Elves you can't.
It's a she, yeah. But I think in a Sylvan list as well. A verdant heavy Sylvan list. I think there's something to be said there.
My kind of like issue is that they've gone towards like the pushing the verdant thing, and I feel like it's taken away from the elves. Like you because of the Wilt Father and because of this, you're like, well, I've got to run mostly verdant then. Like what the elves doing, they don't feel like as much a cohesive army if you're.
I agree with that. Yeah. And a lot of verdant stuff crap.
I do. But there's quite a few of the aura, like verdant or aura keywords, which I feel like they can split up an army, which was originally supposed to be like a combined verdant and elf. You know what I mean? But I do like it.
Yeah, cool. So next one along is Banick Kholearm. Absolute beast of a character. I like this character. So it's a sort of a weird mix between a flamesmith and then just a ass-kicking dwarf lord. 6 attacks, but melee 4, but crushing 2, with brutal, inspiring, and scout, which is quite cool. So basic inspiring is actually quite rare in free dwarves. There's a lot of inspiring that's conditional to one thing or the other. Has Fireball 10 with the Shattering special rule and Bane Chant 2. So you've maybe falling into the trap of a spellcaster that can also do combat, so it's a bit of an issue. But yeah, I just think it's a really nice little Flamesmith unit that can go around and punch things when needed. Shattering Fireball is really nice because obviously that adds on top of any other shooting that you're doing. So if your rangers are shooting at stuff, you put the damage on, you add the Fireball, and the Shattering tags on top of that.
And he's got Scout and Speed 5, so he can keep up.
It can keep up with the. He's a scouting inspiring source that can keep up with the shield breakers that can scout. Now, Free Dwarves didn't have any scouting inspiring before. They now have them, and the shield breakers gained the tracker keyword, so the ranger captains can also inspire them. So they've got a couple of options now for being inspired to move up. But yeah, I just think he's a badass. You can take Banick, Kholearm and Kragoth in the same army, but if you do, one of them has to wear a false mustache to show that they're the evil twin. It's just required.
It's also actually in the CoK21 update. It's going to be hard to find, but it's in there.
He says it, and Mantic are going to release tiny mustaches that you can stick onto one of the models.
But don't dwarves already have full beards? How would you tell it's got a mustache?
You'd tell.
It's not a facial mustache.
Cool, yeah. So yeah, what do we think about Banick? I think he's a.
No, he's
I quite like him. It seems a bit of a it's 135 points in it. His main utility is the scout and inspiring.
Yeah.
Actually, I think the other two, if that was all he had, he would be a jack of all trades, master of none, not quite good enough for to waste an unlock. But because he has scout and inspire, he's actually worth it, and he works really well with now. You like your shield breakers and your ranger pricks.
He works well in the list.
Ranger pricks are the official title.
Yeah, he's fine. He's fine. I think you'll see him played in some lists, but
Definitely.
I don't see Free Dwarfs often though, so you'll see him as much as you see Free Dwarfs.
Right, Adam, I think we come to you for Serakina.
Serakina, the Ice Queen. Yeah.
You've got to be nice about this one because this is one of I suggested rules for. Didn't like these ones. These are written before I got here, but I suggested the rules for this one.
I think she's fine. But she's only really going to be taken if you're taking all the ice elementals, and I think if you're taking all the ice elementals, you're playing Northern Alliance wrong. But I think that's more my. I think that's.
Frost Giants are also around.
No,
and so were Ice Naiads.
And Naiads, yeah.
Naiads, yeah. She's all right. She's a wizard that's got Surge 8, Windblast 6, but Windblast also applies the Frozen trait, so it's effectively Windblast plus 2.
Which is really quite powerful when you can unload a volley of the Frostbite Icy Breath from your Ice Elementals and then just go, fuck you! And push them back and you're out of range then. Because the only downside of that Icy Breath is the 10-inch range.
Yes. Yeah, the range was too short.
Yeah, you can now.
For it to matter.
Yeah.
So what doesn't matter?
I think if you're playing you're aiming for
speed
the.
Have you got to then be at speed 10 and get pushed back by an average Windblast roll and Frozen and still be in charge range?
Yeah.
A speed 6 unit would.
What's it's got a minimum speed, the one at 5, hasn't it?
4.
4 or 3?
4. You can't go below 4.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, if you're a speed 6 unit, if you get hit once, then you're automatically out of range because you'll go back an inch and your speed will drop down to 10. Your charge will drop down to 10, so you're out of range. So you've got to be. I think, on an average roll, I think cavalry gets shoved out of range, maybe.
I actually think this one. I know we're taking piss at start, but I think she's probably the best designed character on this entire list, or one of the best designed characters.
I think so, yeah, I would say so. This is the one I rules for.
Yeah.
Anyway, carry
on. Moving past that, I played quite a lot of Northern Lights. I did loads of me testing, and I made the Ice Elemental list. And I've played it a couple of times, and it's genuinely a really good list. She's not as hard to take as you think she is for that kind of list because you're in 2 Ice Queens, then you're probably going to run a Shroud on one.
Yeah.
And then the plus Surge on the other one, so you can run 3 Ice Queens.
You can't take the heal 8. But I think if you were taking 2, I would definitely see her being one of those 2. For the heal 8, and that Wind Blast, it's not an obscure trick. Being able
it
to
lets you push. Yeah, it lets you keep that. If one person's playing a bit conservative with a unit in like a second line, it lets you keep that unit out of combat, or or just having her on the field forces your opponent to play aggressive, which that in itself.
She's also very
inspiring. Yeah,
that bit's really very inspiring. Yeah, she's got Radiant to Life, which is really
very inspiring.
No, they're inspiring. Are they? Oh, no matter.
Yeah, they're very inspiring anyway.
I don't know these things.
Yeah, there you go.
Radiance of Life, is what it is. It's all right. It's just nice.
Very good.
She's genuinely good. I think you can see her realistically with Radiance of Life. You can see her replacing the second Ice Queen with the plus Surge, whatever it's called, spell. The plus bar Surge, because the Radiance of Life does the job of heal 2, but it does it better because it's certainty. It's like heal 3, but you can affect multiple units. So and she's a good price as well. It's fancy. Quite often, you'd rather, once you've shot with ice elementals, you're usually surging them in to just to double up on damage. So it's very situational, but you do have the option at least. And the main thing with Wind Blast is with Frozen, you need to apply a point of damage with wherever you're shooting. And so often, when I was running those goddamn bows, I'd get 4 or 5 hits, wounding on 5s. I do 2 damage. I do like 2s and 3s, and I don't do any extra damage with them, and it don't happen. I'm like, all right, cool. I banked on getting that damage and taking that speed off them, and I haven't done it. Great. Why ever bothered buying this really expensive shooting unit, which is crap?
Yeah.
This one Wind Blast hit, right? It's happened, and I've got 6 of this.
It gives you a reliable way to apply the army rule. Basically.
Yeah.
Because I think it's fine.
Frozen's cool, but it doesn't. Pun not intended. But Frozen's cool, but it doesn't happen enough because so often it's on bolt throwers or it's an icy wind with a crap range. Like so often it's on things which just aren't doing their job commonly or reliably enough for you to be able to use Frozen and rely on it as a rule, which was the cool thing about bloody spell of the effect. And now you can actually do that, which is actually cool and interesting and a viable use of it.
Yeah, she'll see play,
cool.
Definitely. So she'll win.
Very well suggested by a very handsome person. So, Tom, Kapoka, the hidden saviour.
Kapoka. So this is a Forces of Nature special character.
Verdant again.
Combined with Wilt Daddy, this is what's going to happen because he is not a fighter, he's a lover, and he gives Phalanx or a Verdant. So if you can imagine having 3 Tree Fathers running up the middle, one of them being the Wilt Daddy, and being like, all right, cool, they've all got Phalanx, you've got Cavalry. I don't care.
Don't forget weakness, Tom.
But also heal 4, so he can run behind your Tree Herders, who now have Phalanx, and are now immune to dragons, and then immune to any heavy cav hordes, and you can turn around and go, yeah, all right, you'll do 3 damage, cool, I've got heal 4, and I've got Radiance of Life, so I'm going to take off 3 of those.
I can't wait to run the scout list.
Player, I didn't write this. I have to say.
I can't wait to run the scout list. The Hunters at Wild and
Hunters
at Wild with 3 of these, this guy in it, and then just turn 1 have a 6-inch bubble, especially if you play Dominate or something stupid where you can just bum rush upfield and just have this 6-inch bubble because it's only within, remember, so you can actually get a very large area. And just have this
scout list before, really. Like that archetype has existed since the start of 2nd edition, and it's never been great, has it?
That archetype didn't have Phalanx in an edition where
that's what I mean. So now
usable.
Is it now finally competitive, whereas before it was a gimmick?
Do you see? It was. I think certain builds were competitive. I made a couple of the Wilt Daddy ones with 2 other Tree Herders set up, and like Wilt Daddy when you can make him speed 7, so you get first turn charge with the hardest character in the game, which is great fun. But yeah, being able to run 3 of them now with that, it's just another thing on top. And I think because he's price wise 145, it's getting a bit expensive, but you've got more access to unlocks in both Sylvan Kin and Forces of Nature, who didn't care about unlocks anyway because everything unlocked pretty much. You know, access so much of the good crap. And it works quite well because it brings Forest Shamans in more with the rest of
nature do struggle for unlocks, actually. A lot of their unlocks are expensive.
Yeah. It works with that style list. However, with the rest of nature, why would you take him, who is heal 4, Winters 3, as opposed to a unicorn, which is better at everything else?
The only big downside I can see this guy is that he inspires. He's got inspiring. And the things, it sounds really daft by saying the downside is inspiring, but if he's inspiring, if he's putting phalanx on 3 tree herders that already inspire, so you kind of losing that rule.
Also point out, Piece of Nature is also verdant.
Yeah, that's because the list I've been
just in case we've forgotten
that. The list I've been looking at is 3 tree herders, 2 beasts, beasts of nature, and some of the shooting guys.
You take away our lightning bolt, we will come back with a vengeance, and that vengeance is called phalanx.
No, I think it's another one of those which is, if you're building a certain list, it ties in really well to give that little list a bit more theme and a bit more edge where they didn't have it before.
What this character does. What this character does is it will allow you to make a really heavy skill list, and that skill list is going to ask a serious question in the tournament matter. Can you deal with this? And a lot of lists are just going to go, no, we can't deal with it.
Yeah, pushing 3 tree herders up to the centre line turn 1 and going, all right, deal with that. And people go, no.
Especially if people start running Alohi, Drakens, Chariots. Oh, no, Chariots don't get affected, but Cavalry, all the sort of stuff that's just been buffed, people start running that. What's it going to do against that? No.
We'll find out.
No, it's not going to do out. Especially when you've got the scouting burden units and Def 5 burden units. It's going to force a skill list, which I think is good for the meta. I just hope you don't see Forces of Nature being that list all the time.
Yeah. I don't want them to take away from Sylvan Kin by doing the Sylvan Kin shtick a little bit better.
I know they'll do it a lot better than Sylvan.
I don't know. I think it's one where we'll see. I think Sylvan Kin have still got some cool stuff, and now that your Glade Stalkers are more viable, you can make a properly more unique Sylvan Kin army out of them.
I think you could run an old Wood Elf style army with Sylvans now, which I think Sylvans will run fine. But this character, I think, is very good for a build. And I think if you're in that build, it's a really good skill list.
We should say 145 is a lot for that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Cool. Back onto me. So why are we not moving? Nom's back. So Nom's back, slightly changed, a little bit turned down. Same Ogre Warlock rule as usual. The Vicious rule is now only granted from the heal spell rather than Bane Chant and heal. So you're not getting the Bane Chant and the Vicious. You're getting the heal and the Vicious. I like it. I think for 140 points, Nom is an excellent unit. Getting heal into an Ogre list is massively needed. An army of 15, 17 struggles with nerve, and getting heal in there is very powerful. I don't think Nom is a very good all-round caster. Inspiring. Yeah.
Everyone knows this character is going to be saying in pretty much every Ogre list. I don't know if there's much more we can say. It's very good.
Yeah, it was not to include last time. It has been taken down a little bit by the heal not conferring the Vicious like it used to, because that was just ridiculous, because that's what you'd always take. Because Ogre's problem was they weren't quite quick enough. They didn't quite have enough nerve. And the damage output was on par with a lot of other large infantry, so now that gave them a little bit of the edge everywhere to do whatever they wanted better than everybody else. Now at least it's working as intended. No, it's on the Bane Chant, so they get the Vicious as well, wasn't it? Not the heal.
Yeah,
they get it from the heal.
Now heal, yeah. No,
I like
him. Good unit.
But it's pretty hard to include for me as well.
Yeah. All right, Adam, I brought you back around. Pronounce this one.
Hunter of the Deep. Hunter in the deep. I even said that wrong.
Trident Realms character.
I'm not even going to attempt that. It's the TR character.
Kyroqsh.
I'm a fan of this guy. I know there's probably going to be a lot of people going, he's not that good. But I think it's good because I think he answers a question that Trident Realms struggle with, which is a fast individual.
Speed 7 individual.
Speed 7 with Scout.
And Ensnare.
I think he's Ensnare. I think he's quite good. He's got.
The most important thing is his stat line. He's Speed 7 Scout.
Speed 7 Scout.
First turn charging is well, not even. You don't even need to first turn charge. You just make people afraid of you doing it. That's what you need to do.
So the thing to point out is that his speed. Yeah. So the thing to point out is
scout into a forest, and then I dare you to charge me in this forest with my Ensnare.
Yeah.
You know.
I think anyone who's played Trident Realms for an amount of time knows that trick. So, but the thing I like him for is that he's melee 3 with 5 attacks, and against large cavalry, monsters, and titans, he gets double attacks and vicious. So it's 10 attacks for them, and I think that's solid at cushion 1.
Yeah.
He's got lightning bolt 3 and all for reasons. Whatever that does.
It's something to do, isn't it?
Just there. It's there, it's fine.
It's a thing. No,
I like fine. 140 points. It's just if you've got the unlock for him, I think you'll take him.
Again,
he's not amazing. He's not amazing. He's not shit. He's somewhere. He's all right.
He's got conditional inspiring, but it's still inspiring. So he inspires himself as well.
Water Bound's a good keybird.
Yeah, decent unit.
Yeah,
Tom,
I like him.
Zaz'u'szu, the Betrayer.
Nah, his name's Zazzy, mate.
Yeah, Zazzy.
You guys, who names the Abyssal characters before Tom goes on? Because do you just go something Uzu?
Is Uzu part of like their language or something? Is that like Von Carstein or something like that?
I don't know these things.
Go on, Tom.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right, so Zazzy is for Forces of the Abyss. Zazzy does one job and one job alone. He has lightning bolt 5. That's what he does.
No, he has
lightning bolt 8. Also gets +3 lightning bolt if you stand next to 3 of your friendly units. They will be very friendly for much longer because you will immediately do a point of damage to every unit within 6 inch. Add +1 to your lightning bolt up to a maximum of +3. Give me lightning bolt 8, which is quite nice. Apart from you doing a certain 3 damage to your own guys in a list, which can't quite do the life leech it used to do, doesn't have access to heal, is relying on regen quite a lot, which is a 1 in 3 chance. The best thing about this guy is he's 110 points, which is really, really cheap. Lightning bolt 5 is still good. He's fine. He's fine without the +3 ability. I think of it that way. Just the problem is
what I do like about him is that it doesn't need to be a regiment or a horde. It's just a unit. So your heralds are +1, and who gives a shit if they get a point of damage? Because you're not taking nerve checks and they've got regen. You know, you've got units like your Well of Souls and stuff like that that can buff it up.
What's a Well of Souls?
Yeah, what is that? Apart from that terrible model that came out.
I like that. Yeah, I don't dislike him. 110 points. 110 points for lightning bolt.
I think
it's a really good chaff piece because his defense 4, he's 12-14 with regen. I think he's got 1 more nerve than normal warlocks, and normal warlocks are actually pretty hardy anyway. But he's got 7 attacks for some reason, and he's nimble.
Yeah.
That bug will get you in a flank at some point.
I really like him because 110 points for lightning bolt 5 with a unit strength 1. I think that's brilliant. I'll pay that all day long just for that.
I also really like his fluff. He was a lower warlock that buggered up all his friends to move up to the next circle.
He doesn't inspire. I'm going away from him because warlocks inspire.
He's not going to inspire because you're not going to be inspired by him because he's going to murder you to get better.
Yeah, that's why it's called the Betrayer, isn't it?
Yeah, he murdered all of his friends were trying to get to the next circle, and he made a deal to have them all killed to get there himself.
I think he's going to be good in a list if you're building a list for a reason. But the only thing that does bug me with him is that he still damages units around him, even if he doesn't cast lightning bolt.
Yeah. I've kind of not finding out it's not inspiring. I've kind of moved a little bit further away from Zappy.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was inspiring. I'm going to be honest. The no inspiring's a big bump because he's got to be isolated, so he's easily killed. Even a bloody mind prod, with shattering, can threaten him.
12-14.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong start line.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. No, I think he's all right. I think he's one of them ones who's going to find a place to sit in your list. Compared to normal warlocks who only have Fireball, you've got that extra 6 inch, so you're lightning bolt in first turn. You combine it with an arch, the champion with the boomstick, so you got a low lightning bolt 8. You take your Lord of Lies or whatever the Covenant thing's called these days, got lightning bolt 7, and you're putting together what, 20 odd lightning bolt from fairly cheap sources who are good at other things as well.
Someone's just said in chat about an imp battery, but don't do an imp battery. That's just falling for a trap. You're not wasting. Shut up, mate. You don't have a clue. You don't waste points on an imp battery. Not in Abyssals. Not at all. What you do with that special rule is you have to work out if you need an additional 3, and then you move forward to get just 3 units in. For if you need it, you've got to weigh it up. It's a unit you've got to think about, which that's what I like about this character. You have to think about how you're going to use him, and that's what I like with stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, moving on.
Thomas. Put the two together.
Dravak, yes.
I put them together.
I was going to say, you've got to put them down together, because if you're running them, you have to run them together.
I don't know. I think Dravak's pretty awesome by himself.
You run them together. You're paying for rules that don't affect otherwise.
I mean, you'd never take Infernok by himself, but you'd take Dravak by himself.
It's very expensive, though, isn't it? What's that total? Bloody, I can't do it.
Dravak's awesome. He's an inspiring Ironcaster with Fireball and Surge 12.
It's 410 points. 410 points, this combo.
Yeah.
410 points.
It works as a combo. Part of my issue with them as a combo is that we'll run through what they got first. So Dravak, Fireball 12, Heal 3 for what are they called? Stupid metal rock things. What are they, minerals.
Lesser Obsidian Golems.
That's the one. Yeah. And Surge 12 is the main thing, because that's actually really, really good. That's really good match Surge, and he inspires. That's all he really does.
Crush 2 attacks.
You're not going to combat, man. If you're in combat with him, you're fucked up.
He has the rule. It's there.
Your best caster is in combat.
Don't matter if he's got the rule. If you're in combat with him, you are fucked up or you're desperate.
The thing. How many times did that Thunderous 1 used to come into effect with the herd shamans?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think,
anyway, moving on.
You know.
Again, that's a different issue.
I don't want to trigger herd players.
It came into effect because they'd lost everything else in their army. That's why it came into effect. It was spite. I think the dice gods looked favourably on spite, which is why it worked.
Right. Anyway, sorry, Dravak and Infernok.
Yeah. Infernok is another Obsidian Golem. He's what he is, isn't he? He's good because of Dravak, I think. My issue with him is he's defense 6, he's dash 19, and he can gain self-inspiring if you've got Dravak on the pitch. And also, the main thing is Dravak can then cast his spells using his line of sight from his leader point to cast it off the range.
And
that's
range.
The actual cool bit. Yeah. Fireball, Surge, all that kind of stuff can come through him, which is quite cool.
Fireball,
he gets self-inspired, but who cares? He's not going to be on his own. He's going to be near something else anyway. So,
if Fireball ignored cover, it'd be very cool.
Yeah, but it's height 6 unit with Fireball.
Doesn't matter.
I think really cool character, little couple. I like him. As a couple.
Yeah, 410 points though. It's an investment.
Yeah.
So we're back to me out now. Why have I given myself this one? So, Ensenyshra.
One sec, Elliot. It might be easier to read out the rules he doesn't have.
What for Ensenyshra?
Yeah.
What doesn't it have?
I'd just like to point out the reason why they've called it this is actually it's quite a heavy spelling mistake. Padley actually wrote the name for this. It was actually Shakira originally.
Yeah.
It's actually called Leanne.
Yeah, just Padley spell it.
I don't know. No. So, Ensenyshra, the Wailing Shadow, is. Well, it says she's a banshee, but she's not. She's a shade with Entrall. And my God, she's awesome. She comes with a price tag, but she's awesome. Crushing Strength 3, Dread, Fly, Speed 10, Mighty, Mindthirst, Stealthy, Strider, 5 attacks, Defense 5, Melee 3. But the most important thing of all of that, Fearless 13, most important thing of all of that is Enthrall 7, but if the Enthrall brings you into contact, you charge. Which is, at first I thought a bit of a gimmick, and then I thought about the 3 Night's Reach battery, just piling lightning bolt into something, and then you go, nah, and charge it, and then you do, 3 more points of damage and dread and kill it. Yeah, it's just it's a direct upgrade to a shade. It's a pricier shade.
It is very pricey. It's coming in. It's just coming in above your other cool like Night Stalker stuff. Like what's the Dread? It's Dread Fiend, isn't it? Yeah. It's competing with Dread Fiend, and it does a lot of things very, very well.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Defense 5,
Strider.
13, it's hard. Yeah. Really good.
This guy.
Point.
Yeah, 160 fine. This guy's, if it were any more, it wouldn't suit play because, like the other, I don't even know what it's called. Is it Dream Hunter or something stupid? The other special character for Night Stalker.
Yeah, it's got the same role as a Vampig.
That's really good, but it's a really good character, but it's too expensive, so you never see it. But this one, I think this will see play, especially if you're playing Lightning Bolt heavy, because it just gives you that extra 3 points of damage on top of the lightning bolt if you want to go for it.
What she doesn't have is vicious. So when you're playtesting this and your opponent rolls 4 1s, you are allowed to laugh mercifully in their face, as I found. Especially when doing that means that you then get a flank charge with your flying unit. So I just thought it was worth mentioning that if your gargoyles aren't even disordered when she charges in, then you are allowed just to laugh at them as you flank or rear charge with the gargoyles. Just thought I'd point that out as an interesting point of fact.
I think she's really, really, really good. 5 attacks, crush 3 with dread. I'm hitting on 3s. Oh, and also ensnared, obviously.
The beguilement rule is just a nice to have.
Yeah.
She reminds me a bit of Belial, that Belial doesn't need his from the void I curse the rule, the disorder thing. It's a nice to have and occasionally use it and go, oh, that was nice. But actually, it's a very good unit anyway. I think it's the same thing here.
Oh, is Belial named after the place in Leeds called Belial? That'd make a lot of sense.
Pit of Oblivion when no one wants to go. Yeah, pretty much.
All the women are actually succubi.
No, God, no. Let's move on from that place.
Yeah, okay, moving on. Move along from that. Grupp Longnail.
Yeah, Grupp Longnail.
The best character.
This character is amazing because who doesn't like Death 6 trolls?
She's awesome. Yep. 90 points. So
90 points for
what Grupp does.
Whose turn is it? Is it me?
You, sure.
Me? No.
No, it's me, isn't it? Is it? No, yeah, Elliot just went. So it's you. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it's me. So now, at least someone's trying to keep order here.
This is why we need Nick.
So this is a goblin little character. 4 attacks, melee 3, fearless for some reason. Crushing 1, duelist, ensnare, and he's blast D3. So 4 attacks hitting on 3s, blast D3. That's very good. But his special ability is if he gets 1 or more hits, and he's melee 3 with 4 attacks, we should get a hit. The unit that he hit gets a
Sure.
-1 modifier. Oh, I thought that's what it is. Oh yeah, long nail. That would make sense. So the unit that she hits gets a -1 modifier when rolling to damage the next turn, not just against him, against anything. So this is a perfect tag-on unit. This is a perfect tag-on unit to throw in, and it's going to do a chunk of damage because he goes in, hits 3 times, which turns to 6 hits, crushing 1. It's going to do 3 points of damage, 2-3 points of damage, depending on your defense, which is enough to push trolls over edge, which is enough to make your spears def 5. I think this for 90 points, it's going to be taken, even though it doesn't have.
Because it's a non-shooting goblin character.
It's a wizard who punches things.
Also, the model is awesome. So this is the model that comes with the new starter set that everyone saw a while ago with the Street Fighter gauntlets. Yeah, I really, really like this character. 90 points for it's not inspiring, but duelist, ensnare, they're just all the nice little rules you want for 90 points.
Duelist is what makes it really good.
F4, fearless 12.
Goblins were kind of struggling with the combat individuals coming out of them, and now you've got an actual legitimate threat because it's -12 in snare with duelist got going on. I think it fits really well, and it's an is this the only melee 3 unit in the Goblin army?
Yeah, because Kings aren't melee 3 for no fucking reason.
That's because the Goblins.
No, what's it called?
Slasher.
Troll Bruiser.
Slasher.
Not
is
Slasher.
Well, that's melee 3.
Little more beasts.
Yeah, they got it back, didn't they?
Melee 3.
Yeah.
Nimble. Whatever they
It's a melee 3 Goblin. I mean, come on.
This is the best combat Goblin in the game.
Yeah. And I like that. And this time a wizard did do it. So, yeah. What do you want? Right then, Tom. Pronounce that one.
One thing I will say before we move on, I find it hilarious you can cast Hex on this guy and it just does nothing.
Yeah.
Right, we've got Seb.
You can. Excellent, I like this. Yeah, carry on.
Sebkh?
Seb.
Sarah. We've got Sarah the Accursed.
Rare the Accursed.
Sarah the Accursed.
Yep.
Right. What does this do for 155 points? Well, it's Empire Dust character. It's got very inspiring. It's got heal 5 Surge 8, is it? I can't even remember.
Yeah, that's it. Heal 5 Surge 8.
Heal 5 Surge 8. And when it casts the heal, it can then cast Surge on the same target.
Yeah. Whereas the character further up on the list can cast it on a different target from Basileans. They're cheaper.
Yeah. I don't like this one. This is one of the ones that I think it's one of the only few that I don't actually like. I can see a bit of the stuff, but like the reanimator thing, what does that really do?
Well, it's the same rule as Cursed High Priest get. Cursed High Priest reanimated. Because that is significantly better than the old reanimator rule. Because you can now target all units with it rather than just. Yeah.
It's what it is, and it's a Cursed High Priest, but with you're not able to vary it up as much. I think it's the heal and surge is nice, but how often do you need that? I don't know.
It's 155 points of garbage, to be honest with you. Yeah, they all went quiet because you can't really argue with me.
Nah, I won't say garbage. I'd say poor.
It's garbage compared to other living legends in the Empire of Dust list.
Yeah. Often with Empire Dust, you need to be able. Yeah, all the other living legends in Empire Dust are awesome, and if you're kitting out a Cursed High Priest, you want to do a very particular job, and if it's going to do one particular job, then you want the tool.
But now we're going from bad Empire of Dust to what the fuck orcs. So I'll let Elliot take this one.
I like this guy. Turning it up to 11. Ulgar the Mad. So Ulgar is effectively a God Speaker. A fearless God Speaker with God Speaker stats. Except, so it comes with Bane Chant 3 and Fireball 7 as standard. but he can max it out at max 11 rather than the usual max 3, I believe it is.
Ooh.
If you can squeeze 11 heavy infantry hordes and regiments within range of this guy, you deserve Fireball 18, is all I can say. But the main thing... It caps at 11.
Caps at 11.
So, yeah, and he comes with Fireball 7 as standard, so he gets Fireball 18.
And you can give Bane Chant
Bane Chant 14, Tom. Bane Chant 14. 7.
The main thing with this guy, though, is for each successful hit with Bane Chant, the target unit gets life leech +1 to a maximum of 3, which I really like. I just think that's cool.
That's a good bit.
Yeah, the Bane Chant is useful. There's some units where you're not going to use it as much. You know, the Great Axe don't really care. But yeah, I like him a lot. 120 points, I think he's fair. Def 4, you know, he's not cheap.
He is cheap because he's inspiring.
Yeah,
and he's very cheap because he's inspiring.
I think he's fine. I think he's a. He's a one trick is really good.
That special life leech rule is free.
I mean, let's be honest, you're going to use it pretty much every turn, otherwise you're not getting the use out of the rule. In which case, he's a one-trick pony that his trick is very good, but I think it's fair. I think
I've said this since.
Each caps at 3, by the way. John doesn't cap because it goes 14.
I've said this since start. I've said this since start of 3rd edition. I think Orcs are one of the top 3 armies in game. Don't care what anyone says. I do think they're one of the top 3.
Good thing you don't care because you're wrong.
No, I do. I'll stand by that. And I think
they're a solid army with solid options, but they're not top 3.
Maybe top 4 or 5 then. But anyway, beyond the point, I think what Orcs do best is an immovable line because you can get a lot of good high def 5 stuff with a shit ton of heal or a shit ton of Bane Chant and Life Leech 3 pretty much every time because you're going to average Bane Chant 6-7 off this guy with the sort of list I've been playing with Orcs. On the style it plays, you'll be getting 6-7 Bane Chant, so you're probably going to get that Life Leech 3 most times. It just makes
the thing is, you jump at this guy, but you don't jump at everyone else who can cast heal and another spell. And that's all this is. All this is really is heal 6 and Bane Chant.
The reason guy. I'm not jumping at this guy. The reason this guy's really good.
I know he's good, but he's not silly. He's just got the double cast ability that we've seen in Sebkh-Rai the Accursed.
No, but it's not that. That's actually the really good bit. It's the fact that it's that plus inspiring, plus how cheap he is compared to other Orc characters that do inspiring, and it just works very well. He works very, very well.
My issue is that Sarah the Accursed is on a list where everything else does Sarah's job.
Yeah.
Apart from in a very particular case where Sarah's better at it, whereas Upgar does a very particular job that nothing else in the Orc army can do. I like him.
I think you'll see Upgar in a lot of lists. I like him a lot. I don't think it's silly, but I think you'll see him in a lot of lists. Yeah.
I agree. I think
very
I kind of disagree. Probably I feel that Orcs are a little bit soft, and I think this goes a little bit away to pulling up. Even with the drum, because they had no wound mitigation, did they?
Mm.
You know,
you could get a load of heal if you wanted it.
Yeah.
I think it's a playstyle thing. I think Orcs are really strong on one playstyle, but I haven't seen anyone playing that list.
Oh, Trowbridge did it well. So.
That's just a preference thing, you know what I mean? It's not a...
So, annoyingly, by actual fluke, the next one down the list is for Adam.
What the fuck, Matt James? What the fuck?
We'll get a while. Can I say now, me and Tom disagree with Adam?
You're both wrong. You're both wrong. And I don't care.
Adam
this
can't do
guy...
maths.
No, this guy is one of the best characters on this list. He probably is the best for what he actually does and costs. He's 120 points for a Rat King Warlock that inspires. So already you're 5 points more than a Warlock at this point. But he gets Bane Chant 3, so now you're cheaper than a Warlock. And he gets Hex 3, which obviously Hex is actually quite good now. So you're now probably the same points when you remove Lightning Bolt 5. But the key ability this guy has is when he successfully casts Bane Chant on a unit, that unit gets a start over for combat. So you cast it on Storm Vermin, you get 30 attacks, you do whatever. Well, I don't know what they're called. Storm Vermin.
Shock troops.
Shock troops. Basically, what this guy does is it lets you completely reset combat if you want it. So it is ultimate mitigation for bad luck. You can, if you go in and hit 20 dice and then do 10, then do like 4 damage, you can re-roll it, re-roll everything from the start. Yes, there's you might roll worse, but it's not about that. It's about having the ability to reliably work out damage. And it also has the spin effect as well late game, where you can actually go for a Hail Mary play, where if you average 8 damage to kill a unit, but you need like a 14 to kill them or something, 13, 14 to kill them, you can use this to fish for that, because it's probably a 1 in 6 to do that sort of damage. Now you can turn it down to a 1 in 3.
Yeah.
Just by having this ability. So I would happily take a 1 in 3 to win a game over a 1 in 6. And this is where this becomes into its own. It's how someone's going to use it. If you understand how this rule works, this rule is the most powerful rule in War Machine.
I would agree with you, except it's before testing nerve.
No, you're not doing that. You're doing that in your head.
Yeah.
You're working that in your head. That's not
part
the point.
of it as well, Padley. Part of it as well is it's the first combat. You can't roll other guys first. You can't roll this last. This
Which is fine.
Roll first of that combat.
Yeah, which is
So
fine.
You don't have quite as much control over it. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool rule.
It's ridiculous. It is this character. If you're running anything combat related in Rat King, this guy should be in it. Auto take. He is the second most auto take character in this list after Nom Nom.
Yeah.
And
it's really, really cool. I love it. I see lots of use, but
once you start seeing the implication, I only know this because this rule exists in War Machine, and it is the most busted rule in the game because you can reliably fish for, well, not fish for stuff, but you can reliably go in somewhere knowing what you want to do. And it's giving you Bane Chant as well. So this is additional damage on top. It is so reliable, and that's what I'm going for. And it's the late game Hail Mary play. If you need to, there's going to be so many games where Rat King win on turn 6 because it were, they went in and did 14 damage to a unit they shouldn't have done because of this. It's going to happen way more than anyone's expecting it.
Maybe.
No, it definitely is. And I'll argue this all day long because this is the most busted character. This is the most busted character in this list by... This guy's a 13. A 13 out of 10. By a mile.
I don't see it in Rat-Kin. They don't have the Uber Death Star units.
You don't need it. This is on a melee 4 unit.
But then finally, melee 4 unit goes from doing 8 damage to 10.
No.
No,
that's not the thing. That's not the thing. You're relying on your 8 damage unit to always do 8 with this. But it's allowing you that. As I say, to do that 14 that one time is probably about a 1 in a 6-ish. It's giving you that 2 shots at that 1 in a 6. So it's now 1 in a 3. That's the thing that it's really good at.
Yeah.
It's when you need it. When he comes to your coach, you're like, well, that's busted. Nothing else can do this. But he gets this one opportunity to do the thing that nothing else in the game can do, which I can see sucking for some people.
What Ian's just said in chat. What
really
Ian's just said in chat is mathematically is insane, and that's what it is.
But your math's wrong there because it ain't.
No, it's not.
Your odds don't double because you do it twice. So this is the same argument where I was trying to tell you Vicious was the same as Elite, and we're not going down that road.
No,
again.
it's not. I proved the fact Elite was better. I proved that, and we're not going there again. I did.
You linked to
because
Wikipedia
even Nick
article.
agreed. No, I didn't. I showed maths.
Right then.
Anyway, next one.
I'm going to leave Tom with this while I go for the loo. Carry on.
Oh yes, you left me with the undead character.
You might want to be quick, Elliot.
Right, so Zoonock Iceblood. This is never probably going to get played because it's an undead character which doesn't let you use other undead characters, much like, say, Jarvis.
Yeah.
Where you're missing out on all the other busted living legends that undead get. Probably never seen, but I like Zoonock because Zoonock tries to do something which is an issue with undead. Is the worst units in undead really that you're going to take in terms of mainline units are skeletons, and skeletons are actually fine. There's nothing wrong with skeletons. It's just everything else is better. Whereas this is at least giving you a thematic and cool way to get a non-human undead. Because frankly, I love the idea of if you change this around, or you just made like undead like elven undead, so they get elite as an upgrade. Because you don't just change the models, because it's just ears and they fall off anyway. Because they're elves and they're undead and it's skeletons and stuff. I think that would have been really cool. But this does a similar thing to give skeletons a little bit more character and give undead another bit of a slightly different build. My issue is that he's competing with the rest of the undead list where everything's amazing and all the other living legends we therefore can't take because you've taken him. That's the issue.
Yeah. One thing I will say on this guy, if undead had the Empire of Dust Revenants, I think this guy would be very good. Just to give 2 hordes of Revenants elite. But the fact that the undead ones are Death 5, Crushing 0, who cares? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Zoonock doesn't get Bane Chant. Cursed, not a cursed High Priest. Lich King can buy Bane Chant. And Necromancer comes with Surge for free. For no reason. And they can just buy Bane Chant and be cheaper.
Yeah, this guy basically gives skeletons elite, melee only, because I thought you could do like a little gun line with him, like catapults and stuff, but it's melee only.
What's wrong with you?
Because I want to make shooting good this edition.
It's fine. It's fine.
But it's, as you say, Tom, it's the fact that you can't take other living legends with him. And I think the living legends in Undead are just too good to pass up at times.
Yeah.
Too good.
How often do you see Alona's busted and how often do you see her? Well, not often. Like Morgoth is still busted. There's so many really awesome living legends in Undead. Like, why are you going to compromise and take Zoonock? Again, I guess if you're not taking them, then you might just take him anyway because he's got Surge at 5. But I don't know. I guess he has to be in a very particular skeleton build, doesn't he? And that's it.
Yeah, I think it's a very good thematic character. But it's not something you'd run if you were trying to be competitive.
Yeah. I like the idea of like a non-human dead raising the dead. Like, you don't see much of that, and this is a salamander, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Cool. Are we done with Zoonock while I'm back from the loo?
What's your opinion on Zoonock?
He's fine. He is fine. He's again, it's one of these things where if you take that specific build, it's actually really good. The skeleton keyword is quite nice. It catches quite a nice amount of units. I don't see the issue with the living legends because I think your undead tend to be taking just one. It's very rare you're taking multiple living legends with undead. There's nothing wrong with them. It's perfectly fine.
Feel you're losing the because you are going to usually take one living legend with undead because they're all really good. But why do you take this one as opposed to the other ones?
Yeah,
just thematic.
120 points as well. Like if you were 100 points, I think he might actually be a bit too expensive, which is weird on an undead list.
I agree with you.
But when you're looking at every other unit. So, moving on to I need a woo. Somebody give me a woo.
I just like to say,
where's
actually,
the woo?
If you're cool enough as an undead player to run skeletons, good for you. I like you.
You get the Northern King seal of approval.
We like you.
You do.
We'll get you a cup.
You can have a cup. I've got a gouge full of them. You can have a mug. You are the MVP. So, where's my woo for the King's Counsel, please?
Woo. We need someone to do sound effects for us.
We do. Well, to be honest, our production quality needs to go well through the roof because it's terrible at the moment. Someone put a comment the other day saying that they were editing a video about this exact same topic, and I said, "What the hell's editing?" Does everybody not
Northern Kings,
sit?
we promise nothing, deliver less.
Yes.
So this is where I put a call out for questions from the community, and you were all absolutely awful. You just complained instead, and nobody asked any questions. So I've managed to eke a few out. If we have any more in the comments as we go along, please do throw them in. But I have managed to get a few questions out of people. So quick fire round. Will any of the new legends be living legends be auto includes? What do we think?
Nom nom.
Yes. Nom nom.
Nom nom. Moving on.
Can you build a good
maybe
ogre list without nom nom? I think you can, can't you?
You can argue the Ratkin one.
Yeah, but why would you? Why would you not?
Yeah.
Giving heal to ogres is just why wouldn't you?
It was an
Ogre
auto
and
before for any competitive upwards build, wasn't it? So I guess it still is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ogres and Ratkin. They're there to auto takes.
Do you think that's a
Ratkin
negative? Do you see an issue with nom 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 being in every list?
Me personally, no. You just know what you're going to face, don't you? I suppose it could get a bit boring after a while, but it just is what it is. I'm not bothered if stuff are auto take or stuff's better than it's. That doesn't upset me in the slightest. It's what it is.
Nom's cool.
Yeah, I don't think you'd be hamstringing yourself not taking nom.
No.
But why
I don't
wouldn't
think
you?
there's ever a case where you're going to really regret it.
No.
I think the Ratkin one is when you've made a mistake and you've rolled worse, you're like, oh, why do it? But it's such a cool ability to have. I feel like it's kind of not included because there's nothing else in the game that does this.
Yeah.
If you're going to feel like a super special snowflake, you can take it, and you could be the only person who can name the game that can do it, along with every other Ratkin player.
Yeah. And that's
Which with the new
what's gonna
start
end up
set is
happening.
going to be everyone.
Yeah. Everyone's taking it. Everyone's taking that. And if they're not, they're being daft.
Cool. Thank you for the question, Maggie. So, we have a question here from number one all-time Northern King superfan, Cy Clifford.
That's
Because it won't be a video without number one all-time Northern King superfan, Cy Clifford.
We need
How
to
do you
get him
think
a cup.
Mind Fog will affect the meta?
I don't see. I think Mindfog being used a little bit more. I don't see it affecting the meta. I mean, you can use it for War Machine stuff. You'll see it more in lists. I think it's not really going to change anything. Like, War Machines aren't going to go away because of it. If War Machines go away, it's going to be because of the Ignores cover rule changing. It's going to be because of your Abyssal Dwarf Maws taking the hit that they did. That people don't run them as much or don't rely on them. But I think Hex does quite a lot actually, and especially like I was talking about your army standards, where you had a list which didn't quite use. You had a list for Crushing 2 anyway. Why do you need your standard bearer to have the loot? Hex makes a lot of sense there. The same for your large infantry single piece characters. Your what are the Forest Shamba characters, stuff like that, which you've got nothing else to do apart from go, well, I'm staying with the main battle line, I'm a bit taller, I'm quite cheap, I'll take Hex. I think that kind of stuff is really good for really pissing off. Well, how many of these new characters are spellcasters as well?
All of them. It's a magic sword.
If you want that Creech guy, you don't want to take away his ability to give the reroll by casting the bench, and you're going to get him in, mate. So I just sit back there, don't keep up with the charge.
Yeah.
There you go. Off you go. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
It's still a good counter to Morgoth. Still a good counter.
I think Hex will affect the meta more than Mind Fog. I think Hex is actually playable now. The thing is, I think the characters that can get Mind Fog will probably still just buy Lightning Bolt. It's the characters that come with Mind Fog for free. I think they're the ones that are going to ship it up. But Mind Fog's going to give everyone a huge advantage into goblins. Huge advantage into goblins, in my opinion.
But they've got Gruff Longnail. So who's the real winner here?
We just hex him and it'll do nothing.
Yeah, go. And also, screw that snail. Snail. Soul snail. Yeah, screw the soul snail.
Yeah, fuck you, Spruce. No snail.
Just anymore.
You should have given that thing reload just to put Hex on it and go, ha!
Taking away stealthy for some reason.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you, number one all-time Northern King superfan, Cy Clifford. So I've rolled these two together because they were basically asking the same question. But yeah, Jeremy Duvall said, I think there will be some nice new combined arm shooting builds with elves and dwarves. What do you think? Matt G said, do you think any of the changes will cut shooting armies out of hibernation?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I was building a Northern Alliance army, and then I stopped, and then I did a little bit more, and then I've got like 100 human clansmen, and I can't be asked because like, oh, human clansmen, I don't really like them. They're a bit too expensive. Pack hunters are really cool, but they don't unlock, and now there's a reason. I'm like, yes. I would put 3 or 4 rest of pack hunters down, just let loose, just throw javelins everywhere. It's great. So yeah, I think so, because pack hunters are the coolest unit in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think certain shooting lists will come back. I'm at lightning bolt 33 and 84 piercing 1 steady aim shots in my list at the moment. So 118 rat 4 piercing 1.
And a total of no friends.
Has that ever really bothered me? That's
true. No one ever liked you anyway.
Exactly. I'm fine with that. I'll just go have a drink. You know what I mean?
I think it will, especially for elves and dwarves, because there's so many. You rock up to a tournament, and you see your proper old school dwarf guy, and he's got his old school dwarf rifleman regiments, and he's got a warsmith sat near his cannons. You're like, he's gonna love this. This is for you, big, old, overweight, Viking-looking dwarf man. This is for you. It's great. I love it. And also elves as well, Gladestalkers, they become actual useful and kind of interesting to use because they actually unlock in a list which kind of needs specialist regiments which will unlock and contribute in different ways. Like it builds a combined arm list again for elves, which I felt like they were kind of losing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I think the elf shooting list is still going to struggle with F6. Probably the same as the dwarf ones. I think there's definitely scope for it. Definitely scope.
Cool. There you go. If you had to pick one of the campaign items to be tournament legal, which one would you choose?
Heart of the whatever it's called.
Amulet of Fire.
I like it.
Amulet of Fire Art. Just because bring it back because it's just a cool item. There's no reason it needed going. I don't think I can say much more. It's a brilliant item. Yeah. Cool use.
I want Hourglass of the Cronius because I don't want Ratkin to be the only ones that get the super special snowflake rule. So Hourglass of the Cronius is the exact same rule, but it's a one use only item that any unit can have.
For 20 points. Which is fair. Points. I like it. Yeah, I know. I'd agree with Elliot there, but for the sake of being a little bit different, I'm going to go with. I've forgotten the name because Elliot's chosen one which I chose, and I want to be a special snowflake. But it's the one where you can target a spellcaster, and he means he cannot cast that spell at all next turn.
Yes.
Just is that Wander the Damned? Wander the Damned or something?
Something like that. Crown of the Damned, of the Wand of the Accursed, of the Sarah. Yeah.
Susan. Pointy wizard hat because it has a 0 effect in the game outside the campaign.
Yeah. No, yeah. The
Corruptor.
Yes. Crown of the Corruptor. Yes, that thing. I like that. That's a cool one because it's just so nice to be able to target people who just have that one stupid annoying spell and they're going to use it right when you don't want them to. When it's a surge caster and he's sat there and you know what he's about to do, you're like, no, you don't.
You don't.
Sit down, you bitch. Yeah, stuff like that. I like stuff like that.
Pimps.
I love like Trident realms with the entirety of the Trident realm. This is. Do you want to have any fun? No. Great. Watch. As Hector gets teleported in front of you, and the old siren ensnares you and disorders you, and you're there going, "Stop turning on my rules off." Stuff like that's really funny.
Yeah,
it's really infuriating to play against, but it is really funny to use. I miss the Sparkstone. Bring the Sparkstone back.
Yeah, Sparkstone was good.
Never used it, but it was really fun.
No, I never used it either, but it was good.
So, a couple of questions from the comments.
Yes.
Do you think the War Machine changes will affect Goblin War Machines and Paddler's Kingdoms of Men shooter list? Well, Paddler's Kingdoms of Men shooter list was shit anyway. So that's fine.
He was shit. Oh, hands up shit, didn't work. And anyone who thought that was good was wrong. I was trying to make it work to to see if it did, but it didn't.
Yeah, sadly, it was both wrong and stupid.
It wouldn't be the first
I
time.
don't know. I think it will be fine. When we were sort of looking at it, we kind of figured that 75% of cover is granted through being obscured, and 25% is from actually being in terrain. We can still take it on. So if you look at it that your war engines gain cover 25% of the time they used to, you can look at it that way.
Oh, it's like right. Sorry.
Where's Nick when you need him?
Harder.
No. What are we doing? Red hour?
On whether you think war engine changes are going to affect.
I think they will. I think they're going to have quite a big effect actually in the game. But I think war machines in general are going to have a big effect in the game because of the terrain changes, the buff to monsters and Pathfinder units. Because of that, the changes to Mind Prod. I think all that is sort of like 4 or 5 hits to war machine in the big picture. I think a lot of people, when they do testing and stuff, they just look at rules in an isolation. But when you actually spread it out to look at everything else, I think we might see death of war machines. To be honest with you,
I won't go that far, but I think it definitely does. Lots of little situational changes which makes war engine players have to think. What enjoy is
what might happen.
People have to make difficult choices. It's more fun than them going, I'm just going to keep rolling dice at you. If it happens, it happens. Yeah. Oh, great scene again.
I think probably being a bit over exaggerated by saying that, but I think a lot of it'll go.
Cool. So, a question from Ian: do you think what changes that need to be made is that when flyers fly out of difficult terrain, they are hindered? I paraphrase there massively.
Yeah, because that's an essay.
I know. I'm not sure with this one. I don't think flyers are an issue anymore, and I think if you keep watering down the fly rule, it will lose its value completely.
I think fly's fine. I think the only changes to fly that I'd ever be put in place, which will never happen in this game, is like a fly cap, but that'll never happen. But that's the only thing that I'd ever do for. Because I think lists like the Basilean list I was running with 7 flyers, 7 combat flyers. I think that's actually been buffed this CoK changes, because the things it were weak against was the war machines and a couple of other bits. But now that I can actually play the system and fly into terrain, or start in terrain, or start hidden, I think it's a lot more. As I say, I think them units have been buffed unintentionally, or maybe not intentionally. Maybe it was meant to be buffed, but
the dragons,
I think they have been buffed. That's fine. Yeah. Fearless Headstrong, 17-19 Headstrong, it's fine.
Headstrong, you will lose your fly as well, even if you roll your Headstrong roll for your disordered. It's important.
Yeah. It's still fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Easy one. Yeah. Yeah. They take from the parent list. The parent list gets it. So yeah, that's an easy one. Herd do get Wiltfather. Surely the answer is nobody.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Dwarf players with gyrocopters.
Gyrocopters, you super special.
If people want to allow them in for thematic reasons, then go crazy.
I think there's still a list on having dwarf Def 6 with shooting and then 2 Drakon regiments. I think that's still going to be a list. Def 6 wall plus a bit of organ guns plus 2 Drakon regiments. But I think that's just a list people have liked running more than anything else.
From a purely competitive Master's point of view, I think allies have had their day. There's so many restrictions on them now that they're just not viable.
Yeah, I mean stuff like I'm just going to take 3 regiments of butchers and that's it because the Mind Thirst does the job. Like that's at least that's been addressed a little bit because that was just daft. So I do appreciate that, and I think allies at a top level, yes, they're kind of gone because so often the lists that we're building, every unit can work with each other. Like you need that experience to pass across. You don't want to be worrying about your allies not being able to inspire everything else.
Remils have just put on the chat herd players with Great Eagles. I'm guessing that's to ally in. Ally in Dragons, but you can't, can you? Because they're a theme list. Sorry,
No, they can. No,
Don't get nice
they
things.
get allies.
No,
They can't
you
ally.
can-
They can't be allies themselves, and they can't ally from
That's
the parent list, master
Yeah.
list. Yeah. Okay, you can. You can have your Great Eagles back. They're just
But yeah, allies in general, I think in a competitive stance, I think they've gone. I think there might be the odd corner case situation where you might want something, but I think as a general rule of thumb, it's no, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
so.
Like 4 Mind Screeches in Twilight King, that sort of shit. I think that's the sort of like corner case situations, but even then,
Raw you with 4 volley guns.
yeah, that sort of stuff. I think you kind of add into
An existing bullshit.
Yeah.
No, I will ruin everyone's dreams.
So I almost kept us under an hour. Almost.
Just about.
Any other thoughts on the new heroes, on Clash of Kings 2021, or the next sort of season of Kings of War?
Well, when
If
the
we
hell
ever
is
get
that
one.
going to start?
No. Now, go.
I haven't really played much of this one, to be honest.
Tom's officially the worst player in the UK, according to
I'm
Mankins.
officially the lowest ranked in the UK.
The worst player.
I am.
Yeah. Any other thoughts from you two on sort of these rules, these updates? Any new units come in? Do we like them?
No.
To be honest.
Positive?
So I think it's, for the most part, nearly all of it's an improvement to a major improvement.
Yeah. I'm not being funny. For the amount of pages you guys were given to do, well, Elliot, not you guys, just Elliot. Screw the rest
Yeah,
of them.
it was all me, clearly.
The amount of pages Elliot and Rules Committee were given to do rules changes, they've done as well as they could have done with 2 pages at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's the nicest thing I've ever said.
Regular. 16 units. Oh, man, I'm so happy with that. And fuck Wraiths as well, all right, yeah.
Yeah, 14 units becoming regular. I just wish you'd have just changed irregular from scrap everything it is now and just change it to these units can't be allied.
16
needed to do.
16? I can't
14 with you. Well, it's 16 with
can't count.
duplicates. 16 with duplicates. 16 with duplicates.
Cool. So with that, and now creeping over 2 hours in a marathon video. Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you very much for everyone that commented and people that submitted in. Thank you to number 1 superfan, Cycleford.
14, Tom, you can't count.
16.
You count Gladestalkers 3 times.
Bugger off. Right, okay. So
Not wrong. Not wrong.
thank you again.
Ramble on.
Please, if you can, like, share, subscribe. We are going to continue doing these every 2 weeks. We enjoy doing them, whether you like listening or not. We have fun. So yeah, we've got a couple of topics lined up for the next few. But if you've got any ideas for topics, just general themes, do drop us a comment, leave it in YouTube or on Facebook and your usual place you can find us. But we shall leave it there, and thank you very much for watching. See you all later.
Cheers.
Again, do that again. I want to leave that as the pause frame of Tom leaving.